Welcome back to Bible Hour, boys and girls. I'd like to thank all of you for watching. Those like London and Lincoln and Roman. Well, if you remember, or if you've been watching, you'll know that we've been studying from the book of Exodus. And we've been studying a story about a certain person and group of people, God's people. And as we go through the story, we have certain hand motions that we're doing. So if you're just joining us, pay attention because I'm going to go through the hand motions. If you've been with us, this is a quick review. So every time in the story I say Moses, you put your arm out like you're holding a staff. And I have a staff this week. Anytime I say Israelites, we wipe our sweat from our head because the Israelites were slaves for a long time and had to do lots of work. Or if I say Pharaoh, we put our arms across our body like this, like a mummy. Or Egyptians, we put our arms like the Egyptian dance. Or if I say God, the arms go up forming a circle above your head because God rules over all. Okay, see if you can remember those, and I'll help you out as we go. Now, if you remember, the last couple weeks we were talking about how Pharaoh had all the Israelites as slaves and he wouldn't let them go. And Moses and his brother Aaron went before Pharaoh talking to him, bringing a message from God. And the message was, let my people go. But Pharaoh, he just wouldn't do it. So God, remember, sent how many plagues? He sent 10, didn't he? And remember those plagues were the first one, all the water like in the Nile and everything turned into blood. And the second one was frogs all over the place. The third one, swarms of gnats. The fourth one, lots of flies everywhere. The fifth one, all the livestock of the Egyptians died, but not the livestock of the Israelites. And then plague number 6 was boils and sores all over the Egyptians. And plague number 7, where the Egyptians lived, there was a great big hailstorm with lightning and fire falling down from heaven. And then plague number 8 was locusts that came and ate all the crops and vegetation of the Egyptians. And then plague number 9 was a total darkness in all the land of Egypt, except where the Israelites were. And when all that didn't work, plague number 10 was all of the firstborn of all the Egyptians died. And after that plague number 10, Pharaoh finally let the Israelites go. And that's where our story comes in today. The Israelites leaving Egypt. So after all 10 of the plagues, God sent on Pharaoh and the Egyptians, Pharaoh finally let Moses and the Israelites go. Now there were about 600,000 Israelite men, plus all the women, children, and animals. Moses took with them the body of Joseph. Before he died, Joseph had made the Israelites promise to take along his remains when they left Egypt. God led them through the desert toward the Red Sea. And during the day, God went in front of them in a pillar of cloud to show them the way. And during the night, he went in front of them in a pillar of fire. And they could travel both night and day. But when Pharaoh was told that the Israelites had left, guess what? He changed his mind again. The Israelites moved closer to the Red Sea, and suddenly they saw Pharaoh and 600 Egyptian soldiers coming toward them in war chariots. The frightened Israelites cried out to God for help. And they were angry at Moses for taking them out of Egypt only to be killed in the desert. But Moses said, "Don't be afraid, stand your ground, and you will see what God will do to save you today. God will fight for you, and all you have to do is keep still." Then God moved the pillar of cloud between the Israelites and the Egyptians, so that it was so dark for the army of the Egyptians that they couldn't come near the Israelites all night. Moses, as God had instructed, held out his hand over the sea. Then God sent a strong wind which blew all night and turned the sea into dry land. The water divided, and the Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground. And the army of Egypt chased them into the sea. And again, God told Moses to hold his hand out over the sea. And the water returned to its normal level and swallowed up the Egyptian army. Now the Israelites stood in awe of the power of God, which had saved them again from the Egyptians. Moses and the people sang to God. Now after God rescued them from the Egyptians, the Israelites traveled on into the desert of Shur, where for 3 days they couldn't find any water. Then at a place called Marah, they found water, but it was so bitter that they couldn't drink it. So Moses prayed to God, who showed him how to make the water drinkable. God had Moses throw a piece of wood into the water, and that made it sweet to drink. That was a miracle. Then the people continued on into the desert, where they complained to Moses and Aaron because now they had nothing to eat. So God said to Moses, I'm going to cause food to rain down from heaven for all of you. Each day the people must gather enough for that day only. Then on the 6th day they must gather twice as much. That evening a flock of quail flew into the camp, and in the morning the dew was all around. And when the dew evaporated, it left something that tasted like cakes made with honey. And the Israelites named this food manna. Moses said, this is the food that God has given you. Gather for each member of your family, but don't keep any overnight. Some people paid no attention and saved part of the manna. In the morning, it was full of worms and smelled rotten. From then on, they gathered only what they needed. Every evening, the Israelites had meat from the quail that flew into the camp. In the morning, they had manna. Then, on the 7th day of the week, they rested as God had commanded. The extra amount that they gathered on the 6th day did not spoil or get worms, but was fine to eat on that next morning of the 7th day. Moses said, eat this today, for today is the day of rest dedicated to God. The Israelites ate manna for the next 40 years. When they finally entered Canaan, they grew their own food. Well, the Israelites camped at a place called Rephidim. But again, there was no water to drink, so again, the Israelites complained to Moses. And Moses replied, why do you test God? But they were thirsty and grumbled against Moses. So Moses cried out to God, what am I to do with these people? God answered Moses, go out in front of the people. Take with you some of the elders, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile. I will stand there before you by the rock of Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out. So Moses did as God told him, and the people had water to drink. Soon after, the Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, choose some of our men and go out and fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow, I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands. So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But when he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. So when Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur held his hands up so that his hands remained steady until sunset. So Joshua beat the Amalekite army with help from God. All through the desert, even when the Israelites complained to God, God took care of them. just like He'll do for us. Be sure to come back next week.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Bible Hour. Let's start with singing some songs. Start by getting out your snappers or your clappers. Beloved, let us love one another. For love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God, and knoweth God. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. God is love. Beloved, let us love one another. 1 John 4:7-8. Beloved, let us love one another. For love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God, and knoweth God. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. God is love. Beloved, let us love one another. 1 John 4:7-8. Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Do you know that Jesus died, raised again in 3 short days? Me, the one for who He died, for my sins to wash away. So I love Him more and more. Love I never knew before. The shape of Calvary. Do you know Jesus died for me? Hallelujah. Do you know that Jesus died, raised again in 3 short days? Me, the one for who He died, for my sins to wash away. So I love Him more and more. Love I never knew before. The shape of Calvary. Do you know Jesus died for me? Hallelujah. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart, down in my heart, and I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. I've got the peace that passes understanding down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I've got the peace that passes understanding down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart, down in my heart, and I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. I've got the wonderful love of my blessed Redeemer way down in the depths of my heart. Where? Down in the depths of my heart. Where? Down in the depths of my heart. I've got the wonderful love of my blessed Redeemer way down in the depths of my heart. Where? Down in the depths of my heart to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart, down in my heart, and I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. And if the devil doesn't like it, he can sit on attack. Ah! Sit on attack. Ah! Sit on attack. And if the devil doesn't like it, he can sit on attack. Ah! Sit on attack to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart, down in my heart, and I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. He invites us into His banquet table, and His banner over us is love. He invites us into His banquet table, and His banner over us is love. He invites us into His banquet table, and His banner over us is love. His banner over us is love. I am my Lord and he is mine, and his banner over us is love. I am my Lord and he is mine, and his banner over us is love. I am my Lord and he is mine, and his banner over us is love. His banner over us is love. The one way to peace is the power of the cross, and his banner over us is love. The one way to peace is the power of the cross, and his banner over us is love. The one way to peace is the power of the cross, and his banner over us is love. His banner over us is love. And let's stand up for our last song. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul, not my shoe. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul, not my shoe. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul, not my shoe. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul, not my shoe. I've got love like the ocean, I've got love like the ocean, I've got love like the ocean in my soul, not my shoe. I've got love like the ocean, I've got love like the ocean, I've got love like the ocean in my soul, not my shoe. I've got peace like a river, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got love like the ocean in my soul, not my shoe. I've got peace like a river, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got love like the ocean in my soul, not my shoe.
Does anyone here know about Moses and the Red Sea?
I know.
Well, I can see that.
I can see. Red Sea. I get it.
That's not what I was getting at.
Well, I'm ready for the questions. Fire away.
Do you remember about Moses and the Red Sea?
I remember that the people of God were very afraid.
And why was that?
Because thousands of their enemies were chasing after them with no more than sticks and stones.
Well, sticks and stones will break my bones. I get it.
That's enough to be scared, but they wanted to do more than just hurt them.
That's right. And they couldn't go any further at one point. Why was that?
Because they met with the sea, the Red Sea.
Why were they afraid?
The enemy was approaching.
Yes. And?
There were a lot of them, and they had no way to protect themselves.
Go on. And
the water was deep.
And
they had no boats or rafts to get across the sea with.
Would you be afraid?
Well, duh. Sure.
But should they have been afraid?
I'm not following you.
Good response. The people of God were afraid too, and they were complaining to Moses, like it was his fault.
He was just the leader, right? The one to follow was God.
And they were very nervous right about now. They heard the horses and the cling-clang of the soldiers' swords and shields.
I would have been scared. So what happened?
Well, do you remember the story?
God got involved.
He always does, doesn't he?
I know we can count on that.
So what happened?
I guess you want me to answer this one, huh?
I guess so.
Well, Moses gave the command, and Aaron lifted up the rod that God gave them, and God brought a great wind that parted the Red Sea like an open book.
Then what?
They crossed the sea.
And
they got to the other side.
And
they were safe.
Well, then what?
And they were safe.
Is that the end of the story?
Well, you tell me.
No, it's not. God brought them to the other side, but the danger was still behind them.
Oh, yeah. The soldiers were still coming, and the water was still parted.
So then what happened?
God brought the water down on the enemy.
And what does this teach you?
To trust God and not be afraid.
That's right. No matter what trouble you are in, God will help you.
I must tell you, I would have been very scared going through the Red Sea.
I'm sure they were too, but God protected them.
And I would have been scared when I saw the soldiers coming after us.
Only natural.
But I would always remember what God did when the water fell on the soldiers.
And that's what God wanted his people to do, to remember where they came from and sin no more.
Just like us. Remember where we came from and sin no more.
Good lesson. Thanks for helping us with the lesson today.
You're quite welcome. Hi there, boys and girls. How are you doing today? Today, we're going to tell you one of the most exciting stories ever heard. And the most amazing part is that it is a true story. It really happened.
Wow, so this isn't a made-up story?
Nope. It's from the Bible, and it's true through and through.
But did you have to add a little scary stuff to make it more exciting?
Not a thing.
Or exciting music?
Well, you could add music, but that doesn't change the story. The story is still true.
I can't wait! What's the story about?
The story is called Moses Crossing the Sea.
I thought you said exciting. That doesn't sound so exciting. We've crossed over water on bridges.
No, they didn't cross the Red Sea on a bridge.
Of course, how silly of me. To make it exciting, it's a story about crossing the Red Sea in a boat. And, oh, I know, the boat almost tips over.
Not a boat.
And they fall in and splash about, hollering, "Save me, I'm drowning."
I said, not a boat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. I was too loud. It was so exciting.
Do you want to tell the real story to the children?
Sure. Where do we start?
Well, I'll be Moses, and you can be the bad guy called Pharaoh.
I'm big, bad, mean, ugly Pharaoh. I have a big, bad army, and me and my big, bad army are gonna get you.
That's right. I'm going to run away from you.
You can try to run, but you're going to run into that big Red Sea and drown.
Now, boys and girls, that is really just what it looked like was going to happen. Moses and all God's people were running away from Big Bad Pharaoh, and ahead of them was the Red Sea. Oh no, where can we go? The Pharaoh behind us, the Red Sea before us.
Why not just jump on a jet ski? I'm gonna get you. You better run.
You know, Moses didn't have a jet ski. Moses cried out, "Lord, please save us. We're about to get caught."
So, okay now, this looks pretty bad for you, Moses, and God's people. I'm about to catch you. You don't have a boat, or a jet ski, or a bridge. I'd say you're in big trouble.
We were in big trouble, but God saved the day. He put a big cloud between Moses and Pharaoh, so Pharaoh couldn't get to Moses.
So is that it? A cloud? Just a cloud?
No! Now this is the best part.
Ooh, I can't wait. What happens?
God caused a great big wind to come and blow up the water, and blow, and it blew so hard that the water was pushed up on each side, and it made a pathway across the Red Sea.
So, could they get across on the muddy bottom of the sea?
No. When God does something, He makes sure you know it was Him who did it. The ground was dry for them to walk on.
Amazing.
Yes, indeedo. They walked across the Red Sea on dry land to the other side.
Well, this Pharaoh isn't so stupid.
If you can walk across this, then me and my army can chase you across too.
Well, the Pharaoh tried, but that wasn't so smart, because remember who controlled the wind and the water?
God?
Yup. So when Pharaoh's army chased them down across the dry sea pathway, God stopped that wind, and guess what happened?
Pharaoh's army took a big bath. Dirty Pharaoh's army.
Yes, they were destroyed in the Red Sea. Pharaoh should have known better than to try to hurt God's people.
Wow, that is really amazing. Well, and that's more exciting than any story I've ever heard. And it really happened.
It sure did.
Well, I can hardly wait till next time for another exciting story from the Bible.
Well, the Bible's full of them. It's so amazing how God takes care of us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, boys and girls. My name's Posey. I want to tell you about something new we're trying for Bible Hour. It's been so long since we were together, and I know I'm missing all of my friends and figured you are too. So I thought everyone would enjoy seeing and hearing from a few of our friends. Of course, our lesson today was about how God protected the Israelites when they crossed the Red Sea. He allowed them to walk across on dry ground with the waters parted on each side of them. I bet some of you can think of a time when God protected you. So, let's ask our friends. Can you tell me about a time when God protected you?
God protects me every day when I'm at school, when I'm at home, when I come home from school, every day.
One time that God protected me was at my football game whenever he helped me not get hurt whenever I got hit really hard by the other team.
The time when God protected me was when I was in a car wreck with a truck with my Mimi and no one got hurt.
God helped me when I was a baby when I had to have hip surgery.
Wow, those were great answers. Thanks so much for sharing. I sure enjoyed seeing a few familiar faces and hope you did too. See you next time.
Wasn't that a great puppet show? Now it's time to see how much we learned today. I'm going to ask Akemi and Penny here some review questions. You try to answer the questions with them at home. Hopefully your mom or dad is there to hear your answers. So, what book of the Bible is our story from?
Exodus.
That's right, Akemi. And Exodus is the second book in the Old Testament. When Pharaoh finally let the Israelites go after the plagues, where did God lead them?
Through the desert toward the Red Sea.
That's right, Penny. Now, there were about 600,000 Israelite men plus all of the women, children, and animals. So during the day, how did God lead them?
In a pillar of cloud.
Yep. During the night, how did God lead them?
Oh, in a pillar of fire.
Yep. When Pharaoh learned the Israelites left Egypt, what did Pharaoh do?
He changed his mind again and took 600 soldiers with him in war chariots after the Israelites.
Yes, he did. And this scared the Israelites. What did God do first to protect the Israelites from the Egyptians?
God made it too dark for the Egyptians to come near the Israelites all night.
Correct. He did that by moving the pillar of cloud between the Israelites and the Egyptians. What did God do next?
God parted the sea so the Israelites could cross on dry ground.
That's right. God caused a strong wind to divide the sea, making dry ground when Moses held his hand over it. God allowed all of the Israelites to cross the Red Sea on dry ground. But what happened when the Egyptians started to follow them?
Well, God caused the water to return to normal and swallow up the Egyptians.
Yes, and the Israelites were amazed by God's powerful and thankful He saved them. But what was the next problem the Israelites encountered?
They were in the desert and couldn't find water for 3 days.
Then they found water, but it was bitter
and did not taste good. Moses prayed to God, and what did God tell him to do?
To throw a piece of wood into the water, and then it was sweet to drink.
Yep. What did the people complain about next in the desert?
Well, that they did not have any food.
So what did God tell Moses he was going to do?
God was going to rain down food from heaven.
Yes, he was. And what instructions did Moses have to tell the Israelites about gathering the food?
Each day, the people were to gather enough food for that day only, but on the 6th day, they should gather twice as much.
So what kind of food did they receive from God?
Manna in the day and quail in the evening.
What did the Israelites do on the 7th day?
They ate leftovers from day 6 and rested as God commanded.
And when the Israelites again complained to Moses about having no water, what did God tell Moses to do?
To take some of the elders, to take his staff, and to strike the rock of Horeb.
That's right. And water came out for the Israelites to drink. Now when the Amalekites attacked the Israelites, who did Moses choose to lead the fight?
Joshua.
That's right. And Moses was going to stand on top of the hill with God's staff in his hands. Who did Moses take with him to help?
Aaron and Hur.
The Israelites would win as long as Moses did what?
Held up his hands, and they would begin losing if his hands lowered.
Yes, that's right, because if his hands lowered, the Israelites would begin losing. What was done when Moses' hands got tired then?
Well, Aaron and Hur held Moses' hands up so that Joshua and the soldiers could beat the Amalekites.
That's right. Great job, Akemi and Penny. God definitely took care of the Israelites. How did you do at home? I bet all of you did great too. Thanks so much for tuning in with us today to learn another lesson from God's Word. Now kids, have you ever eaten manna before? Wouldn't it be fun to try some at home? Now, we don't really know what manna tasted like. The Bible says it was like wafers with honey. But that's all the information we know. We are going to post an easy recipe for manna cookies that you can try at home. It will give you a small idea of what manna was like since it will be flavored with honey. Ask your mom, dad, grandma, or grandpa to take a picture of the recipe so that you can have fun baking manna together. The recipe and a link to the recipe will be in the description. So make sure you come back next week to hear more about Moses and the Israelites.